All right. Hey, everybody. Excited to be with you. Happy New Year to everybody. And it is going to be a great year, 2026. Here we come. Let's buckle up and make it happen. All right. So we've got Aaron Christensen, who I am really excited to spend some time with. In fact, I even had some stats pulled and just all the many things that he's accomplished this year. If you haven't had a chance to meet Aaron, you should. And I hope that you'll take a lot of notes. He's someone who I think is risen from basically as a new licensee inside the organization and then today is one of the top 10 agents in the entire company. And it is impressive to see what he's achieved, what he's accomplished, and who he has become through the process. Not only does his example radiate from the standpoint of helping, serving, and giving his time, his energies, and his efforts to others to help them do the same, but also he, of course, is helping a tremendous amount of individuals, families, and people who are wanting to buy or sell real estate. And I've watched him transition, which we'll talk a little bit about his entire business from starting from a newer licensee that only worked buyers and internet leads at that moment to then raising and rising up to where he's not only has the capacity, of course, to be able to transact business with people that he doesn't know, but he's also converted so much of that business into a warm business. And I've always said this for years, and that is if your business isn't getting easier, there's something going on. It means that you're not working your sphere. And one of the most important assets that each one of us can build on a daily and weekly and monthly and annual basis is our sphere, our database, those who are truly cheering for our success and people who want to see you increase in your productivity, want to see your success. And of course, I always say if your sales prices aren't going up tremendously, that also can be an indicator that maybe you're not working your sphere as much as you should. So, with that being said, we have got Aaron in the house. And Aaron, are you there?
Yes,
I think we're going to
yes.
transfer this. There you are. Hello, sir. How are you
Hey,
today?
doing wonderful yourself?
I'm doing awesome.
Good.
I am. I am. I just came from Cabo San Lucas, so that was a little warmer to say the least.
I can
But
see with the
and
snow going on.
sunshine,
Great.
and we got a great trip with the family. But it's great to start off the new year. And we're excited to start it off with you.
Love it.
All right, sir. Well, give us just a little bit about you. I love hearing the story of what you were doing before, how long you've had a relationship and a friendship with Austin Kales that goes way back in time. And
Yeah.
would just love to why don't you give us just a little bit of what were you doing prior to real estate and how did you get into real estate?
No, it's a great story. So I've been in real estate for going on 13 years now. So this is my 14th year. And prior to this, I was getting my education to go into law enforcement. So ultimately, I wanted to go into federal law enforcement, DEA specifically. That was a dream of mine, and
Oh,
so went to college for 5 years and got my bachelor's degree. I've got my it's a in criminal justice. It's the bachelor's with a minor in psychology, and so during the course of all of that, in order to go federal, I decided I needed to be able to have some background in local law enforcement. So I was going back into the Great Recession times, was trying to uh, get hired on to a police department, sponsor myself to go through the police academy, uh, got nominated into the FBI Citizens Academy here in Salt Lake, had 2 summers of internships at adult probation and parole, and just had a lot of good times preparing and building up towards that. So I had been working on this for probably 5, 6 months, and Austin Kales and I have known each other for I don't know, about 25 years at this point. He and I had served a mission together for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that's how our friendship was kindled. And after we came back, we became friends and hung out for a couple of years. He moved on and got married, and we kind of departed for a year or two. And he had randomly reached out to me when I was in the middle of doing all this, well, the interviewing. I've been completed school and he said, "Hey, I think you do really good in real estate." And I was like, "Well, that's great, but this is my journey. I'm going down. It's a totally different path. And thanks, and let's get together for dinner," type of a thing. And so, like a month later, he reached back out again and said, "Hey, I just feel like I've got this impression. I need to reach out to you, no pressure. Like I'd be happy to take you under my wing, train you, and get you in and do this. And so at that point, I was struggling because we're going to the recession. So for law enforcement hires, I mean, no exaggeration, no joke. For every one position available, you were having or going against 900 applicants. So I was doing well, but not getting hired, getting a little discouraged. And so I kind of went into this thinking like, okay, maybe I go get my license, kind of do this part time, and go back into the law enforcement thing once I got hired on. So the first year, so he took me on. At that moment in time, it was right as Dave Parker and Jeremy Laguerre were transitioning over from their brokerage to Century 21. And so Austin said, "Hey, join the team." And the approach that I take is going to be more so from a internet lead perspective, and I'll get you the scripts and train you up. And so I did that and ended up closing, I think it was 23, 24 deals my first year, and thought, dang, this is pretty dang good money. And I still was working another job at the time. So, I thought, man, if I was working only this job, what could I do at that point? And kind of the rest is history. So I've actually been with Century 21 my entire career, and been with Austin as well this entire time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what a story. I mean, just in the fact I'm looking at, just so people have a perspective of this year's numbers, a little over $400,000 in gross commissioned earned income. So it's not, and the thing that I've watched, I have really appreciated you moving through the transition of building your sphere. And it doesn't mean you don't ever work an internet lead or work other types of lead sources, but you've really created a foundation to where, in fairness, I mean, you and I talked about this. If you wake up every day, there's deals that are going to happen because you've really trained a body of people to not only either work with you or refer you or to, or to, either buy or sell with you. Talk a little bit about just the early parts of your business and how you got started. And I've said this for a lot of years that everybody keeps talking about all the changes that have occurred. My observation in real estate is there's far less changes in real estate than there have been in other markets, other pieces and parts of business. And part of that is because it is still a sales process. It's still a body to body process. It's still, meet the people, greet the people, see the people. And that's one of the benefits that, of course, ensures a future for agents. Even as AI and other things start to transcend into efficiencies, it still, at the end of the day, is creating relationships, which I know you've been very, very focused on. So, talk a little bit about the first of your career and then just a little bit of how you've transitioned. I think it'd be great for you to just talk about the importance of being on a team. I think it would be awesome to hear just the impact that not only Austin, but others have had in relationship to that. I know you're very close also with Dave Parker,
Mhm.
why you've been on a team, why you've remained on a team, and here you are making over 400 plus thousand bucks a year, and you're still associated with the team. That speaks a lot to the power and the strength of a team, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? So, talk a little bit about again the beginning, why you're on a team, why you've continued to be on a team, how you've transitioned a little bit of your business.
Yeah. So when I first started, like I said, I had zero intent to go into real estate, had no idea really what it all entailed. Grabbed my license in a 2 month period or however long it took me to get the license. And I didn't really know how to generate leads. At that moment in time, I didn't really have a large sphere. So I did feel like I needed to have some guidance as to, well, what's my lead source going to be? And again, Austin had created a system that was more, hey, here's some internet leads, here's some scripts, and it's just a matter of dials. Like how many dials can you make in a day? How many contacts can you have a day? How many appointments can you set? How many can send over to lender? And if you consistently do that day over day, then I promise you that you can close deals. And so because I didn't have a huge sphere, I just went full force with that. What's funny is I'd heard rumors leading up to it, and as I'd interviewed or tried to do some interviewing prior to even joining with Austin and or with Century 21, this idea that hey, 8 or 8.5 out of every 10 real estate agents that go in real estate fail. And I was like, well, why are they failing? And a lot of it had to do with they just didn't know how and when and what to do to work. and maybe doing the wrong things. Austin shared numerous times, his first go around in real estate as to, he thought making the business cards or trying to network with other agents was this important thing to be able to create business when really the most important thing is just getting out there and talking to people and trying to provide a value and a service to them. So I spent many of my first years just grinding like crazy. I would call anywhere from 80 to 100 people a day and get a hold of 10, 15, 20 people on the phone. As time went on, my skill set on the phone was able to improve. I was humble. I had those that are around me that were doing better than me listen to my calls. I asked questions. I tried to say, what, if you were my shoes, or if you had this phone call, how would you respond? And never let the fear of failure get in my way of just trying to build on top of what I already had. So naturally, as I closed more deals and got my name out there more, my extended family became more interested in what I was doing. Friends as well. Just my overall social network grew. And then, as you get so many years that go by, then all of a sudden you got people that are going to be repeat clients. And so because I maintain relationships with them, I felt like it really was important. And again, that this has been something over the years that we've really grown on. That the importance of calling your past clients, your sphere, at least a minimum of once a quarter, of maintaining some type of snail mail, email coverage, events, letting them know that you're there for them, not just from the transactional side of things, but also from a relationship side of things. My true belief is that the actual transaction of helping someone buy or sell a home is 25, 30% of the entire process. The other 75% is after the transaction. I think too often agents forget that they want to be relationship based in their business, yet they spend all this time and energy in providing maybe a red carpet service during the transaction, but then fall off the radar when it comes to once that transaction is closed. And so the thought is going to be from that client or that friend or that family member as to, well, man, you gave me this attention all the time. Like we talked almost on a daily basis, or we talked multiple times a week. Now all of a sudden I haven't heard from you in 3 weeks. What's going on in your life, right? Um, so yeah, and then as I've
Hold there for a second. So as you're moving through that, one of the things I think that is a fair statement is even one of the things I actually thought you were going to go down, but I love, you're totally correct 100% in regards to the relationship that is built outside of even the transaction, that not only so other transactions come to you from that particular client or individual or couple, but also of course that has a legacy play to it with other people they know or their own family members and whatnot. But let me ask this question in the middle of this. The technical part oftentimes, and I'm going to say 90% or more of the time, the technical part of a real estate transaction is pretty ho hum. It's not the difficulty. What would you say has been the way in which you've transitioned your mindset and your leadership to leading people through the process? Because the technical side of a contract, the technical side of a an inspection, as an example, or an appraisal, whatever it might be, that's in so many words what I would consider the easy part. It's once the inspection comes out, how do you lead them through? It's once the offer is being put through and you're negotiating what would you say have been some of the ways in which you've improved your leadership, your ability to be present in that strength and that certainty in that process? How did that transition for you? What did you see for yourself? And what advice would you give to anybody?
Yeah, so I think first in the beginning years, as is often I think the case with many newer agents or even agents that feel like they maybe gotten stagnant, is just their value is all based upon how well can they negotiate during the home inspection or the due diligence period. How much can they get it below purchase price or your list price or above list price? Like it's all about the numbers or just the negotiating side of things, or like you said, the contractual side of things. So for me, it was getting out of that mindset and realizing that's still obviously a crucial part in the transaction and or in your entire relationship in building value. But I look back, like I've got this sheet here, and this is something I did at the end of 2025 to then lead into 2026, and it's called my core values. And so there are four components to it. There's my mission, my purpose, and my motivation. So if I break these down as
Hey, look,
I'm
same again.
so mission,
Okay.
vision, purpose, and motivation. So as I break each one of these down, it then helps me be that better leader that I'm trying to be, right? So for my mission, well, my mission is to help people with other or help other people's money. It's to build trust through integrity and transparency. It's to build meaningful relationships. My vision is raising the bar on customer care, red carpet experience, seamless and elevated, trusted local advisor. My purpose, guiding life transitions, serving with heart and expertise, raise the bar of financial awareness. And then my motivation is my family, teach work ethic, provide, create legacy, achieving personal and professional growth, and serving with purpose. So my opinion is I take each one of those categories and I integrate that into my leadership style. Then my natural personality shines. It's more it's more me. And I think when you're genuine, that comes through.
Big time. Big time. So for me, what I hear is obviously the clearer you are on the awareness of mission, purpose, vision, and motivation, obviously the better your days are as you move through. Listen, it's interesting to me because you and I were sitting down a few weeks ago, and when we were sitting down, we were talking about the fact that oftentimes you're one of the last cars that are in the parking lot, if not the only car in the parking lot. And I say that to you from the standpoint of talk just a little bit about work ethic. A lot of people say, man, I would really love to make 400 grand this year. And obviously, the investments and things that you've done and the things you continue to do. But the reality is there's a price that you've paid. And I've often said, you're nailing down like, what do you want? Why do you want it? What do you have to do to get it? And is it worth it? And one of the things that becomes really clear when you talk about motives and vision and purpose and mission is that you start getting really clear on relationship to why pay the price,
Mhm.
and you become really clear on why you're paying that price. So talk a little bit about your work ethic. One of the things that's consistent with any person we've interviewed in the last several months has been this idea of simply just showing up, but of course not just showing up and hanging out, showing up and doing the work. Talk about where you learned your disciplines. Where did you learn to work hard? Where did you learn to pay the price?
Great question. So this probably goes back into my teenage years. So my first real job was milking cows. So
Ah,
I
I love
milked I milked 101 headed cow, starting when I was, I think, tail end of 13 into my 14th year, being 14 years old. And it was twice a week, and it was the early morning shift. So we got up at 3:30 in the morning. My dad took me there, and I did this all summer long. And then, I mean, I think I was making, I don't know, $1.73 an hour or something crazy, right? But again, getting up early in the morning as a young kid, you never really want to do that. But I was able to get some money, and I was a big saver at the time. And so from there, so I was in, we were living in Wisconsin at the time. So then
cow
being my,
country.
yeah, so in my 16th year, we moved back to Utah. And then when we moved back to Utah, I ended up getting a job at another farm that did sod, pumpkins, and hay. So did that in the summer months. Oftentimes in the first few months of the school year, would go in after work and on Saturdays. They have a big pumpkin patch that I'd help out with as well. And so to me, getting establishing from a young age high work ethic and manual labor is huge. And so it's funny because when I was in my early 20s, I thought, oh, I want to be out in the fields and sweating and getting my hands all dirty and whatnot. It was like, let's go to a
Sure.
bank. So I went to a bank and was a teller. And I'm like, I gotta wear a suit. I'm like, no, this is not for me either. So I went back to the farm. But no, I think from a young age, just doing that, and then also looking at my dad. My dad was a great influence for me. I'm the oldest of six kids, and we didn't have a lot of money growing up. And so he oftentimes held two or three jobs. I mean, one of the things he did when I was growing or when I was a teenager is he had a newspaper route that he'd get up also at, I mean, when he was taking me to the farm, he'd take me to the farm and then go strictly to do papers after that. And so I saw the dedication he had towards his family and making sure he was providing. Um, and and that's my goal today is to continue to provide for my family and to put my family in a position where we don't have to feel worried about the financial strains that can come. And so, and again, if I'm going to touch on that maybe a little bit, it's just as agents, we can make a lot of money, but we can also spend a crap ton of money.
Right.
And I have really tried to put myself in a position where I'm financially aware of how can I invest, what should I invest in, having an emergency savings, having regular savings. That if I didn't transact, if I didn't close a deal in 3 months, 6 months, a year, would that change my lifestyle at all? And I've put myself in a position today that I do feel confident that I don't have to sell something tomorrow to be able to provide for my family or to pay my mortgage payment. And to me, that allows me to be way more free in how I can converse and communicate with people. And there's so much less pressure on I have to get this deal done because I need to be able to pay my mortgage. It's what's best for the client.
Yeah.
Is it to take a longer time? Is it to dissect different things in their life? Is it to throw my psychology hat on and be a marriage counselor and say, actually, I think the best thing is for you guys to keep this house rented versus selling it, and here's why. Um, so yeah, those are some thoughts.
What so if you took an agent in today's marketplace and said, boy, if you wanted to sell 24 plus homes a year, if you wanted to make a legitimate and serious living, not that it was just a luck of the draw if deals came in, deals came didn't come in, but like truly you're able to duplicate or predict the future. What do you think is a minimum standard for an agent in regards to prospecting on a daily or weekly basis today in today's marketplace?
Oh, I love that question. So oftentimes I do what's called these power hours. And so it's like I'm hyper focusing on dialing, or I don't really do any of the door knocking or any of that kind of stuff. I focus more on dials. So, but just heavy focused on that. And there's no distraction, right? Like there's no social media distraction. There's no sports distraction. There's no, hey, I'm gonna go talk to another agent distraction. It's closed door. Oftentimes I will do it with other agents and we'll maybe have a competition out of it. Like, well, how many contacts did you get or appointments did you send or how many did you send over to lender during that period of time? But I'm hyper focused. And then I allow myself to have a break. So I'll take a 5-10 minute break. Then I might go back into, okay, let's do there another hour, or I need to go to an appointment, or I need to work on this contract or negotiate, or whatever other things are going on throughout the day. But I would say as a new agent, having a minimum of, let's say, 2 power hours a day, or calls. Like if I'm more into the idea of calls, so 50, 60, 70, 80 calls, trying to get at least 20 contacts, setting at least one appointment a day. If you did all of that, then I'm very confident you could close at least 24 deals a year.
Yeah. What's the most that you've ever prospected, you would say, in a given day? Meaning, yeah, it doesn't mean everybody answered, which to your point, you've already mentioned. What would you say? How many hours would you say you've spent in a given day prospecting when maybe you didn't have anything going or you needed to get something going?
8 hours plus.
I hope everybody hears that because speaking of like the Dave Parkers, and when I met Dave, he was working at Discover Card. And the requirement was at minimum, I think it was 5 or 6 hours out of the 8 hours you had to be on live calls. And I find it fascinating the disconnect that agents have in relationship to connecting with people and speaking with them. And it's those income producing activities, right? If there's no presentations to give, no buyers to work with, no listings to go or to present to, no buyers you're taking out, no negotiations and no price reductions to get, then the question is what is there to do today? And wrapping our mind around the fact that it's okay to either knock a door or to prospect all day needs to be a formula for an agent's success, especially if they want to do anything near in what you're doing and what you're climbing up to do more. I mean, it's not like, as again, what you've earned last year in what I would consider a pretty challenging market, you're going to take it to a whole other level because of the work ethic and the price that you've paid and the people you've spoken to, the databases that you've built, and you've turned even those internet leads or sign calls or wherever they've come from, those type of calls, and you've moved those people into your sphere, and this avalanche kind of behavior starts to spin and spiral downward in regards to the transactions happening on a consistent basis. So I think it's cool. So I
We,
just hope
yeah, we,
everyone's really hearing. One of the things I'm hearing from you is simple words: be proud to work, be excited to work, fall in love with actually working. And I
yeah,
think that there is something to be said that so often people are trying to escape work, escape the job, escape the market, want it to be easier, want it to be simpler. But the reality is that, man, work just working can solve a lot of the problems. In fact, it's often been said 99% of your problems go away with prospecting, which
100%.
going to be making a lot of money, and a lot of the problems we each deal with has a lot to do with money. That's for certain.
We often use the thought or the analogy of buckets, right? So you've got your top bucket, and that top bucket is all your prospecting and the potential pipeline you have. When you go to the next bucket, that's going to transition into maybe making appointments, and then it's going to go on those appointments, and then it's going to be writing offers and negotiating, and then getting the deal done. But if you don't have anything in the lower buckets, the first bucket is that prospecting bucket. And to me, I find it I've been around long enough and seen agents come and go long enough to know that the agents that forget about filling that first bucket because they get distracted by everything else, because there's so many distractions out there, and sometimes they're good distractions, but there's so many distractions that they forget that the key focus is the prospecting. So
Yeah.
uh, naturally, you have to be able to have a clear mind to be able to have a quality call when that comes on. So again, I think it's important to have those 5 minute breaks or spurts. Um, but again, if you don't have anything going on, then an entire workday should be focused on prospecting.
How do you prevent from a mindset of getting discouraged or moments when maybe money wasn't so fluid in your life or deals didn't happen maybe as easy or consistently as they do? How did you protect or elevate your mindset? What's worked for you? What advice would you have in that space of your mind, your mental toughness, your belief within yourself? Like what keeps you going even when you're discouraged or even when you're down? Like why do you keep believing? What is it that you do with your mind and how do you operate internally?
Great question. So the biggest thing for me is to make sure that I'm eliminating any potential negative influence in my life. There's so much negative out there, whether it's the news, whether it's social media, whether it's even sometimes those we associate in the workplace.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of negativity. So I often talk about you are who are the five best people surrounding yourself. So I've chosen to surround myself with people that are doing better than I am, that are doing more than I am, that have a positive outlook on life, that have good relationships personally and externally, and use that as a guiding motivation, right? And usually when I'm down or they're down, we're not down together, and so we can lift each other up. So again, I think number one, associating with others that stay positive. Two, uh, I have God in my life. I'm a spiritual guy. I go to church. I think having just a believing in something more than yourself, or a being is important. And
Well,
so
I mean, statistically, you can show all across the board, purely statistically, that people's lives are better if there is some level of a higher source of connection. some level, whatever that level is. Life is almost always better with that higher source, and being living a faith-based life. And a lot of people will even ask me, they go, "Well, why?" "Oh, because I'm happier." Well, yeah, but what if it wasn't this, or what if it wasn't that? Yeah, but I'm happier.
Yeah,
So there's something to be said that when you collectively bring that together, whether we want to call that the universe or God or whatever, there is some tremendous strength when we have faith not only within ourselves, but faith from outside of ourselves. And people might even call that the law of attraction. But whatever it is, the miracles, the spiritual, the unexplainable still happen today. And man, if you can align with that, life becomes, it seems to be a lot simpler and a lot better. I think you're spot on.
100%. So other things that I do is I don't get a chance to necessarily physically read a lot of books, but I do listen to a lot of books. And so I think just having an assortment or a variety of options there that you can listen to, whether it's a fun book, a motivational book, a finance book, a spiritual book, whatever it may be. I think that's really important to have there. And then, so I'm married, I have two kids, and I really try to have a good communication with my wife. And I think being able to openly communicate when times are hard and when times are good. One of my favorite books that I've read is called The Gap and the Gain. And
Good.
oftentimes I think we don't live we often live in the gap versus the gain. I mean, we have so many successes, yet sometimes we think those successes are failures. And so I think realizing that, hey, I can take a moment and I can celebrate. Hey, I closed that really tough transaction. Let's go to lunch with somebody, right? And celebrate. Doesn't need to be anything grand or crazy or spend a lot of money. It just is taking a moment to pat yourself on the back, realize you've done something good, and then get back on the grinding machine and get back to work again, right? So those would be some of my top things.
That's great. Let me ask you this: if you were if you were about to if you were to start your career again, and you were new to the business, or even I've watched agents who have maybe been in a deep level of struggle, and or they may even be a little experienced, maybe even a lot of experiences. I've seen people on different teams, even yours specifically, the one that you're on. Talk a little bit about teams. Talk a little bit for you about not only why you're on a team, but your encouragement as to what the teams have done. And I just want to preface that, my tremendous gratitude for not only you and the Austins and the Daves and the Jeremys and others that have, built these prolific teams. And there's teams, of course, that are here. There's teams that may not be here. But at the end of the day, uh, I can tell you that you guys specifically that I just mentioned really have opened my eyes over this last, in fairness, 15 years of how the team process unfolds. And you've been such a gift and a blessing, not only from a brokerage standpoint, but you've also been a gift and a blessing to a lot of people who I believe would not have made it in the game of real estate if they did not have that camaraderie, that teamwork, that accountability, the access to leads, different things that really help them build from a team standpoint. And you guys know this, Aaron, firsthand. There's a number of people that have gone on to do their own things that have come from some of these most prolific teams, but there's also something about the stability, the strength, and staying together as a team collectively. And you look, well, people may ask, like, there's of course the maneuvering of structures and things like that may happen as you get more and more experience and you become more and more of an access point to helping build the team. But I just think it's impressive what's happened. So I don't want to, I'm probably talking too much and everyone wants to hear from you, but what would you say about teams and just your reasons for them and the benefits of them, the strengths of them?
Every team's not created equal. And I think there's a lot of great teams out there within Century 21, outside of Century 21. I do feel like that the Austin and the Daves teams are very unique. They've tried to take an approach that's a little bit more from the perspective of we want you to win. And we're going to create an environment that's warm. I mean, again, not to say anything negative about any other team structures, but we're going to create an environment that's warm and welcoming, and we're going to provide a structure and a system that's going to have that high accountability. And so, as years grow, I mean, what I've taken from the team has changed, right? And so in the beginning years, naturally, it is that fear of where the next lead's coming from. So it's great to have that lead sources there. Then it was, hey, help teach me how to provide this white glove red carpet service. Then it was, hey, teach me more about the lending side of things, or teach me more about the title side of things. And so you just kind of grew with the business as time was going on. Today, I really feel like, and again, I think agents can get this, whether it's on day one or on year 13, like me, is this idea of, hey, you've got real estate, you got a personal side of things, you've got life. Life can be tough sometimes. You've got people that you can count on that you can have all kinds of different kinds of conversations with. And I can't tell you how many times, I've gone behind closed doors and had discussions with Dave or Austin that started from a business perspective and then transitioned into a spiritual conversation, to then transition into a relationship conversation, to then transition into how can we help other people on the team? How can we help other agents in the industry? How can we improve the systems that we have? And we go from one topic to the next to the next. And how much that's helped me grow as a leader has been tremendous. And so I think the team dynamic and where things are so crucial is real estate's hard. There's a lot of no, there's a lot of um, potential for failure. You didn't get the deal, or the negotiation didn't how you wanted, or you lost a deal. Your buyer broker expired, and the client wants somebody else. You lost the listing, and something went to somebody else. There's a lot of negative that can come up, and I think it's having again very positive people surrounding you. And again, what's funny is I've become really good friends with just other members of the team. It's not just the team lead that provides value. It's those other members of the team that are there that you can bounce ideas off of, and this unique environment we have. Like we sit over here in the corner on the third floor of the building here in Midvale, and there's always people there. We're always prospecting, right? We're using energy off of each other to be able to again stay motivated. And oh man, there's some extra conversation happening that's just kind of loosey goosey and it's been going on for too long. Let's do that power hour. You guys ready to go? And all of a sudden you've got four people on board versus just you. And so the power of just camaraderie, I think, is huge. And yeah, those are some general thoughts.
Great. So let's talk about money. You've done very well with money. You've been around some people that have done really well with money. And not only the fact of earning money, that's the obvious, but also the way in which you invest. Just give me your top two or three principles of money management, money investment. Just what would you give me? What would you tell
Yeah.
me?
So I think the first is I positioned myself early on in my career to be able to have a little bit of a down payment saved to be able to buy a home. So I think that's first and foremost. If you don't own your own home, I think it's a really good entry point and to be able to create wealth versus renting. And that's what we try to get our clients to do, right? So practice what we preach. So we've got that thought, and then from there, it's creating an emergency savings. So being able to have at least 3 months of savings that, again, I could cover all my expenses that I had. And then I'm also making sure that I'm staying out of debt. So my only debt that I have are the mortgages that I hold between my primary residence and rental properties that I have. Other than that, I don't have debt. I don't carry credit card debt. I don't carry car debt. I choose to say, hey, look, I'll leverage money as much as I can, but I don't want to have that bag of rocks over my head as to I've got to pay somebody back at some point in
The
time.
investments that you have mortgage wise, what are those? What do you have? What have you assembled?
So I've got multiple rental properties. I've got three of them, and then I've got 401k accounts, Roth IRA, traditional IRA. I've got some. I shouldn't really probably do this based off of what I've learned, but I've got some whole life. It's called IULs, investment accounts, and then I've got some liquid cash that I do either some wholesaling with, flips with, hard money loans with, things of that nature.
Great. It's great. Okay, I love it. And then just your mindset of money. Just give me your mindset. Give me advice. If someone said, "Man, I really struggle with money. I really struggle with my relationship with it. Whether it's that I can save it, I spend it, I don't earn enough of it." What would be just one or two principles that you would just give me or tell us in regards to just money in general?
That's a really good question.
What do you believe about money?
I believe that money is a necessity in life, that you have to have it to be able to do really anything. But I don't love the idea or the concept of it's my main focus. I use it as a hub to facilitate other things that are more important to me. So it allows me to have freedom to be with my family when I want to be with my family. It allows me to have this environment, a home, to be able to have an environment that I want to raise my kids in. Uh, it allows me to be generous, allows me to be giving. I really am a firm believer in I make good money. I need to be charitable in my thoughts and actions, right? And so I think there's little acts of service that can be done. Um, that person that maybe is in need of help. And again, I never like praise for it. Austin's a really good example for me from that aspect. He's a very generous individual and he never seeks praise. And that's something I've learned from him and I try to implement in my own life as well. That if I've done well for myself, then I want to be able to be generous for others. And so I think just reframing the mindset of I have to have money to be able to pay for X, Y, and Z. Like sometimes there's the thought out there that, hey, the more you're in debt, the more motivated you are. But I look at that as that's another bag of weight that we already are weighted down with other things in life. I'd rather eliminate that and use money as a facilitator than an instigator.
Great. It's great. As a general statement, how much do you save of everything you earn? I
The
know there's
mi-
and actually you talked a little bit about the coaching that you do and who you're doing that with.
yeah, so as far as saving goes, 20% is the minimum. My expenses are pretty low, so oftentimes I'm in the 30 to 40% range as far as what I save. I get those that are close to me whenever I close a big deal or um, at the end of the year that, hey, you need to treat yourself to something. So I've really tried to emphasize, like over the last 2 years, I've really emphasized on the need to be able to have a vacation. So I have one time a year we go on a family vacation that's fun. Like last February, we went to Hawaii with the family. And then really important to have at least one weekend away with my wife only to reestablish that, have no kids, and have some good conversation that way. And so, as far as coaching goes, so I am a part of a coaching program. I have not done much coaching in the past. I've always used my mentors around me, like a Dave or an Austin, to bounce ideas off of and have coaching advice from that aspect. But um, I'm a part of a program called the Core, and again, it's been great. I've been doing the coaching itself for the last 6 months, and I am a firm believer that, uh, as you want to grow and expand your business, that coaching can be very valuable for that.
I was going to ask you just in general, and we'll start to wrap up here, Aaron. I'm so appreciative of your time and also just the messages and just, man, it keeps resonating in me that you said 8 hours, 8 hours of prospecting, but just in general, and I've been of this opinion for many, many years now, is that it's not so much that I'm in fact, I've often said, boy, I'd love to apply for the job of being a coach for you, if that makes sense. But in the end of the day, if it's not me coaching you, someone should be coaching you. And to your point, we can have mentors. And to me, mentors are individuals that we seek out, we look out for. In fact, this morning, I was writing down some of the mentors I want to spend a little more time with. Guys that are worth, in the hundreds of millions of dollars. A friend who introduced me to a friend that I want to spend some more time with, a guy just want to pick his brain, how he thinks, how he goes about his life. It's pretty impressive to see what he's built, and just from that standpoint, what do you find just important about coaching in general, and not so much who you've been coached by, because of course you've had great mentors, which we could say that's also coaching, but mentors again for me are people who are not paying coaches or people who were swiping the credit card and saying, hey, teach me because I can speed up the process. For you, what has coaching in general done for you?
It's broadened my horizons as to how and where you can get business from. So again, I was so dialed into the internet lead thing, and yes, it's expanded and grown, and I've attracted more listings and things of that nature from that. And my sphere of influence, I try to do a very good job of marketing to them and exposing different things to them. But it exposed me to some different ideas. And so I wanted to get out of the idea of calling internet leads and focus more on generating other lead sources. And that's what attracted me to this particular coaching program in general, is they have some unique ideas on how to approach that. And so, you know, the coaching that I've been a part of really dials in the accountability, has mega structure. You have theme days, you're calling specific types of people on each day, or tracking our numbers in a very unique fashion. They've got a form called the Greatness Tracker, and I'm writing down who I'm talking to. And oftentimes, I think sometimes we can feel like we've had a very productive day. We've talked to so many people, but were they the right people we talked to?
Right.
And the we talk about scaling the business, right? Are we associating and networking with people that are going to allow us to jump from that $250,000 price point to 500,000 to 750,000 to a million to multi-million? I mean, what I've been working on a $5 million deal over the course of the holiday break that I don't think I would have been, whether you want to say confident or even had that given to me, had I not had coaching and people in my life that have helped me grow to be the leader that I am today, to be able to help a client of that nature or magnitude.
Yeah, that's good. So good. So good. Okay. Closing out, what would be your final thoughts, your advice for 2026? An agent is sitting there, they're not quite sure what they want to accomplish, what they want to do, how they're going to do it. What would be one or two things of counsel or advice, whether they're new, whether they're experienced? What would be your advice to an agent today?
So a couple of things that I had thought about on this question. If you haven't, if you're new, right, or even if you are established, making sure you have good systems in place. You don't have a CRM, have a CRM. Use your calendar and stick to the calendar. Consistency. You need to show up every day. I think it's very hard when you have the attitude of, yeah, I want to go, I'm gonna go see a movie in the middle of the day, or I want to go, I'm gonna have a 2 hour lunch break with my buddy who you're not really doing anything real estate wise with, right? So just consistency, showing up. I think it's important to be in the office. Um, Showing grind, having grit, being willing to learn, staying humble, staying positive. Again, not getting caught up in the negative things that are around us today. Um, Create relationships that lead to repeat business. This will allow you to level up, and have those higher price points. And then, like we talked about before, just having a coach or a mentor there that's in your life. So I think what's fun with I've walked through other brokerages, and speaking to Century 21, just in general, uh, we generally have a higher capacity or a higher volume of people that show up to the office, which I think is pretty cool, right? And if you're not on a team, if you're an individual agent, uh, making sure that you target those that are showing up into the office and creating accountability partners. Um, I think if someone knows you're coming and then you don't show up and you get a random text, where are you at? That's accountability, right?
Right.
And it makes you want to come in more, wants you to have just to be around and to be able to learn and say, hey, I'm gonna be prospecting, I'm gonna be doing those things. And I don't think we utilize that enough. I think sometimes we think, oh, we're our own individual agent, our own individual business, that we don't take advantage of just being around people. And there's so many great people in this office place. Um, Another thought that I had too that just kind of came to mind. Jeremy Laguerre gave me this advice years and years and years ago. He said, too often agents come into the business, or they're a seasoned agent and then branch out too much. They become really good in lots of areas of real estate, but not an expert in one area of real estate. And there's lots of little shiny nuggets. They're everywhere in real estate. And we've seen so many, I mean, even on these coaching calls, you've interviewed so many agents that have succeeded in so many different areas.
Right.
The door knocking approach, the expired listing approach, for FISBOs, like Doug Carey is one that I really admire. He is dialed in with what he does, right? Um, and so I think choosing an area that is exciting to you and going with it. For me, it started with internet leads on being on a team. And if that's something that interests you, then pick a team and go do that. Become an expert. Once you become an expert, then you can expand out into other areas and try to become an expert in that area. But if you become really good, there's too many agents in the industry, and I find you just get swallowed up. And that's why the ratio of 8 out of 10 agents don't succeed, is because they're focusing on too many areas versus just one.
I agree. I agree. It is fascinating. And then the thing is they'll do it for a month or two, or a week or two, or a day or two, and they're jumping to the next thing, the next source, the next source, the next source, and they just start this circle of craziness, and to where they become okay or just good in a particular area instead of the expert or extraordinary in that area. So that's well said. Well, just look, as we embark onto 2026, one, Aaron, thank you truly for starting the new year off for us. Awesome. Of course, we have tomorrow, we've got Elizabeth Smart, which will be an incredible story. Many of you may not know, her brother actually works within the company, and is a great agent. And also, I think we're going to spend some time not only learning how to sell a lot of real estate, but just how to overcome just debilitating, what I would even say, staggering events in our life. I think that Elizabeth Smart will obviously be an example of what she's overcome. And if you don't know a lot about her, come and learn, because she is quite the testament to overcoming things and living an extraordinary life beyond the tragedies of her childhood. With that being said, look, in 2026, you got a choice. Number one is you got a choice that things will remain the same as they were, and that may not be a good thing for a lot of us. And number two, it might be the fact that we get a little worse if we get too complacent. Or number three, we radically improve the way in which we're approaching our life. I would just remind everybody that as you embark in 2026, that your past doesn't equal your future. And even where you are, let's say you've had an extraordinary year, maybe you had an okay year, maybe you had a subpar year. Your past doesn't equal future, but neither does your current circumstances. So don't stop growing, don't stop learning, don't stop excelling, and becoming the best version of yourself, because you've got a choice: to become better, to become worse, or to stay just about the same. And when we get really conscious and aware of the decision to become better, we start doing so many of the things, Aaron, that you mentioned, and then some. We start improving our mindsets, our skill sets, and our personal disciplines to become the best version of ourselves. And I just will close with this statement, and that is, I have never been concerned personally with how much money an individual will make. But I can tell you that the great reward for each one of us will become from the space of who we become in the process. So become the best version of yourself. Become the best and the greatest version of yourself. And as you do so, the money will become an automatic byproduct of your becoming. Become the best leader, the best communicator, the best mindset, the best skills, the best disciplines. And you start integrating those into your life in a higher level. Everything else starts to transcend itself into the economics, the relationships, the personal, mental, and emotional health that we all desire as we become the best versions of ourselves. So happy New Year, everybody. Again, thank you, Aaron, for everything, and
Thank
for
you.
not only your example to this business, but your professionalism and what you give back to Century 21 and to all of us within the organization. So, all right, guys, happy New Year. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Life will never be here. Life